Wait, introduce yourself.
Shut up.
I'm serious.
This is so
Introduce
late.
yourself.
Why?
What's your name?
Serious. Sorry you can't observe.
You test my patience, Amanda. Okay, so in the arm, right here, I'll just go and start it out.
Ooh, nice.
If we dig deeper in there, you can see the brachial vein in blue and the brachial artery in red. Okay, so you can see that in the brachial region. If we go in here, our cat's kind of messed up. But you can see here, I think this is the, not axillary, but subclavian vein and subclavian artery.
It becomes axillary at the armpit.
You can kind of see where it breaks out, right? See here where it forks in the vein. That's going to be where it turns into the axillary vein and axillary artery. It's just that our cat's kind of messed up in that region.
Okay.
If we go over here, we have the two carotid arteries that you can see. So there's a carotid artery.
Said it right.
There's a carotid artery. All right. If we go up on the cat's chin, right here is a jugular vein.
External.
External jugular vein, external jugular vein, transverse jugular vein, right here, okay? Going down again, you can see here in the vein, right, so first and foremost, this big part right here, that is the anterior vena cava, okay? It forks into the two innominate veins. So this is an innominate vein, and this right here is an innominate vein, okay? So that's that fork, all right? Just continuing going down, we're going to go to the lungs. This is the anterior lobe of the lungs, medial lobe of the lungs, posterior lobe of the lungs. Yeah, and this is the left lobe, or left lung, okay? So left anterior, left medial, left posterior, all right? And if we lift the heart back, right in here, you will actually see the transverse? No.
Intermediate.
Intermediate lobe of the lungs, yeah. Intermediate lobe of the lungs, right down here, okay? That's just beneath the heart.
That's between.
Okay, so speaking of the heart, all right, if I can just kind of move this, right here, you have the right atrium. It's kind of sticking out. Below that, right ventricle, left ventricle, and then right back here, left atrium, okay? If we keep going, right here, this artery, okay? This is the innominate artery. No, sorry. I think this is the left subclavian artery for the cat, okay? So that's the left subclavian. This big one, this is the dorsal aorta, okay?
Dang.
So dorsal aorta. And then right where it connects to the heart, that's the aortic arch, okay? And then this big guy right here, this artery that you can see being lifted up, that's the innominate artery. So remember, for the veins, it's symmetrical, okay? You have two innominates. For the artery, you only have one. So it's an innominate and then a subclavian, okay? So it's not symmetrical on the arteries.
Can we go over the aortic arch again?
Sure. So the aortic arch. So you can see the aorta, right? You see this big kind of tube right here? If I just move that away, you see this big tube? The aortic arch is going to be just where that aorta kind of pokes into the heart, all right? So if you see anything poking into like this top part of the aorta, maybe right here or so, that's the aortic arch, all right? Okay, let's keep moving down the cat. Right here, we have the diaphragm. This whole kind of floppy bit that we had to cut,
Ew.
that's the diaphragm, that's that muscle. Around the heart, you can't really see it, is the pericardium. We pulled ours back. I can kind of pull a little bit of it up. It's just this kind of fleshy membrane that would normally be surrounding the heart. Okay. Moving down into the lower kind of half of the cat. Right here, this big part of the liver, this is the right medial lobe. Okay. And you can identify it by the gallbladder, which is right here. All right. So right medial. Then you have the left medial lobe and the left lateral lobe of the liver. If we lift this back up, it's harder to see on our cat. Right down here, right in this area. This is going to be the right lateral lobe of the liver. Okay, so ours is smushed. It would be more prominent on most cats. And then we have the caudate lobe right here. It looks like a tiny little dog ear. Okay. Additionally, if we pull this back, you can see right in this area. So this is the gallbladder, right? You can see it from the bottom. Right here, this tube that connects to the small intestine, that is the
Bile duct.
bile duct. Thank you. This is the bile duct right here. Okay. Let's keep going down. You have the spleen right here. Okay. So that's the spleen. This kind of white gunk is your pancreas. It has no form, so just know that if it's kind of in this area and it looks like fat, essentially that's your pancreas. If I pull this down, this stomach down, you can start to, you can see a little bit of the, what's it called? The esophagus, okay? And that'll connect to your stomach. All right, so this is your stomach right here, this huge kind of sac. The stomach starts the small intestine. Okay, so you see this green part of the small intestine? That signifies that this is the duodenum. All right, so the duodenum is the first part of your small intestine. Moving onward in the middle, so just kind of all the intermediate small intestine area, you know, anywhere that's basically not connecting to the stomach or later to the large intestine, that's your jejunum. Okay, the jejunum. Right here, this is actually a really good view of it. You can see the mesentery. Okay, that's all of this, just connective tissue, this really vascular connective tissue, the mesentery. Moving further down, the small intestine. Okay, so you can see here, here's where the small intestine ends. All of this ending area is going to be known as the ileum, where it connects to the large intestine right here. Okay, that is the cecum, right? So ileum is the ending of the small intestine. Cecum is the starting of the large intestine, all right? And then just going further down the small intestine, we know that as the colon, all right? So we know this area that's after as the colon, all right? Large intestine, colon, it's the same thing.
No, you said the small intestine.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Large intestine, colon. All right. Anything more identified? Okay. So right here, you can actually see this really well. This is one of your kidneys. All right. So this is one kidney. If we peel this back, here's a second kidney. All right. Right here. Going from the kidneys, you can actually see right here, this is one of the ureters, sorry. So this is a ureter right here. It goes kind of from this pyramid on the kidney and then descends down all the way to the bladder right here. So this is your bladder, okay? This right here is actually placenta. So if you'll get a look at that.
Oh.
This is placenta.
Look at that.
Okay.
It's not normally in a ring, but that's just how, that's so you know how to identify it. All right, that's the placenta. Right here, sorry, I'll move my hand out of the way. Right here is an ovary. All right, so that's your ovary.
It's the circle thing.
Where?
The hard circle that looks kind of like a mini kidney. That's your ovary.
Yeah, here, right?
No,
No, just a little bit
above
up.
it. So
Here?
that hard circle.
Here,
Yeah.
ovary. Okay, ovary. All right. Sorry. Okay, if we go back to identifying all the veins and everything, okay, we'll lift all this up. Right here, this big one, that is your anterior vena cava, or no, sorry, posterior. So anterior is right here above the heart. Okay, anterior, A, above. Posterior, right down here, is below. Okay, so that's the posterior vena cava. Okay, and one of the things that you can actually notice, if I'll move this away, here's your kidney. All right, kidney. Right here, this vein and artery, this group, this is the renal vein in blue and the renal artery in red, okay? And then you can actually see connecting to all that right here, this is still your dorsal aorta. So they run right by each other. Posterior vena cava, dorsal aorta, okay? You can see those being lifted up. Is there anything that I'm missing that we need to identify that y'all can think of off the top of your heads?
The trachea.
Yeah, so, okay, sorry. Up here is your trachea. This is pretty much like the only place you can really see it. It looks like this. So it's kind of a thin, really not colored tube. Below that, deep to that, somewhere in there is your esophagus. And we can't really see it well, but it's in there somewhere. I'm just bad at identifying it. Additionally, if we move all this over, you can actually see it right there. So if I move that and kind of get in there, this is your esophagus right here. So you can see the esophagus in 3 places. You can see it here, underneath the trachea, here, kind of below all the heart, lungs, all that stuff, right next to the dorsal aorta, which we can see in red right there. And then if we actually grab the stomach here and pull it down, we can see it in here. It kind of comes out, and it doesn't look very good on our cat, but it's in there. All right. So that should be pretty much everything.
Good job,
Vein-wise.
Blake. Good job.